Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2003 Ford F-150 SVT Lightning. Now this is part of this 10th generation of the F-Series that was produced between 1997 and 2004. And yeah, all Lightning versions had a regular cab, rear wheel drive and a 6.5 foot bed length, so despite being a more performance orientated version of the long running pickup series, it's still a practical pickup at the end of the day. And yeah, despite even the fact that the car has been lowered to improve handling, it could still carry a 1,350 pound payload. So yeah, if you wanted to still use this as a daily kind of car for working, you could, but at the same time you could also make mincemeat of certain cars back in the day, given how good this car is in terms of acceleration. But yeah, it's also got 18-inch wheels and Bilstein shocks, and yeah, plenty of power to go with it as well. But we'll take a look at the interior first. So yeah, being a regular cab, only 2 seats, one for the driver, one for the passenger, and a pretty simple interior to be honest, but you've got plenty of stuff in here that you'd need. You've got aircon, you've got CD player, got airbags for passenger and driver, and yeah, nice enough looking dials that are nice and clear, and yeah, overall very well equipped inside. Now you will notice the fact that there's no gear lever. That's because it's an automatic, which is one of the reasons why this car isn't as quick as it could have been, but still, as you can see, plenty of space in the pickup bed there, which at the end of the day is what a pickup should have going for it. But yeah, like I said, the performance is somewhat stunted in terms of its gearbox, as unfortunately it's only got a 4-speed automatic gearbox with overdrive, and unfortunately it also weighs 4,670 pounds, which does not help in terms of performance. But what does help in terms of performance is the engine. It's a 5.4 litre supercharged V8 producing 380 horsepower and 450 pounds-feet of torque, which is quite a sizable amount, to be honest. That's only 5 horsepower down on the SVT Cobra from the year 2000 that we also have on this game, but it crucially has nearly 70 pounds-feet of torque extra over that performance version of the Mustang. So yeah, quite a formidable amount of power, and yeah, to be, I think I'm right in saying, the second most powerful car in America at the time, is pretty great in terms of the fact that it's a pickup at the end of the day, which is not something you'd expect. Obviously the Ford GT, which this car shares its parts of its engine with, would go on to have even more power, but yeah, for a pickup truck that is a fairly formidable amount of power. But as you'll see when we get out into the open road, I'm not sure whether or not this car can actually deal with that kind of power, but yeah, let's nonetheless get out there and see what this car can do. So yeah, with all of that power and torque, it's undeniably a reasonably quick car in a straight line. So let's get on this drag strip and see what it can do before we hit the speed camera. But yeah, it's not the most sophisticated of engines. As you can see, it's not even really doing 5,500 RPM at the top of the line there. And yeah, the automatic gearbox does mean it has quite long gears, so it's not really in the power band for a fair decent amount of its rev range. But still, nearly 113 miles an hour is not bad at all for what is at the end of the day a pickup truck. But despite the fact that they've lowered the car, they've given it bigger wheels, improved tyres, better shocks, it's at the end of the day unable to overcome the fundamental flaw with a pickup truck, in that it has very little weight at the rear, which ultimately means that yeah, that rear end isn't being pressed down, the tyres don't have the best amount of traction, and when you're dealing with so much power and so much torque, the end result is a lot of oversteer, as you'll see once we get to the track, which this is more than welcome at, given it is a performance orientated version of a normal car. Performance car should do well on a track, so let's see what it can do. But before that, we'll look at the stats as well, to see what it's like. But yeah, definitely an oversteering machine, which might well be handy for people that like doing drifts and stuff like that, but for a performance vehicle it's not the easiest of things to really be able to handle. So yeah, high-end C-Class, and yeah, as you can see by the stats, it's not all that great. The launch is pretty on the low side, purely because again, it doesn't have all that much traction going for it, being a pickup. Braking is pretty poor as well, acceleration is decent, handling is a little bit on the okay side, but that's only really if you can wrestle that rear end, and yeah, the top speed is pretty good. Off-road capability is reasonable, given, you know, it's a lowered, only rear-wheel drive pickup. But yeah, as you'll see when we get it around the track, it's not the easiest of things to get, you know, going in a fast manner. And yeah, it would definitely be a lot better in terms of handling if it did have more weight over that rear end. But then again, it would be a pickup truck if it did. So yeah, but I'll let you listen to the engine first, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, it definitely sounds good. Nice low revving V8 with a really nice supercharger whine over the top of it. And yeah, on the whole, I do like the look of this car. Apart from the rear lights, I do like the look of it overall. I do like the side exhausts and the the step there that is just behind the doors, so you can get into the pickup bed. But yeah, it's, like I said, not the easiest of cars to control, which, yeah. But at the end of the day, that does not stint its acceleration. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 5.186 seconds, which is faster than a lot of cars even today. 0 to 100 in 12.785 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 146 miles an hour, which again is pretty good. But I just, at the end of the day, feel like a lot of the times I can't use that power in the top purely because of the handling. You have to be really, really careful going into a corner. You don't really want to step on the accelerator until you're properly out of a corner, and then you can at least use that power on the straights. But yeah, not got really all that much in the way of confidence behind it when going around corners, to be honest. And yeah, the brakes aren't particularly great either, especially when you consider how much weight it's got and the amount of momentum that comes with that. You want the best brakes possible when you're dealing with something that's not exactly far off £5,000, and yet, yeah, they don't seem to be improved over the standard version at all, just because they just take forever to slow the coming down, really. And yeah, but I am really glad this is on the game. We've been getting a lot more of these kind of American vehicles, or, you know, vehicles that are sold in America only, on this game, with the likes of the Toyota pickups and the 4Runner, and then, you know, we've got the dual-wheeled Ford Super Duty vehicle, or whatever it's called. So yeah, I am glad this is on the game. It is a car that I have been interested in having on a Forza game for a long while, even though the only first time I ever came across this was Jeremy Clarkson slating the hell out of it on a Top Gear episode. But still, I am glad it's on the game, and I'm sure it will be really, really fun to drive in upgraded form on, or even in stock form on races. But yeah, in its stock form, in terms of just general driving and, you know, driving satisfaction, it's not the greatest of cars going, but it is an interesting one, purely just because of how much power it's got. It's probably what you can consider the first proper super quick pickup truck going. Nowadays, obviously, there's plenty of them, but back in the early 2000s, I doubt there were that many. And yeah, it's, yeah, just varying up the car lineup on this game, which is always a plus. So yeah, really pleased that it's on the game, even though it's not the best handling car out there. And yeah, this is out via the Car Pass. It's the first of 8 that have been revealed recently, and yeah, it's one of the ones that I was looking forward to driving, and yeah, it's not disappointing, because even though it's not the best in terms of handling, it's still an interesting car to drive. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.